What did that process look like at first? Because a lot of times you meet a woman, they got their life over here, how they normally do things. Then there's how you normally do things. And you're trying to get her to stop doing the normal and come over to get on your plan. And a lot of times there's pushback. How did you handle that? Or was she already ready made?
She was 100% not ready made. It was painful pushback. And I think that's the aspect that nobody sees because they see the finished product.
Right.
And that's the beauty in the comparison to when you read the Bible. Everybody wants to like talk about the woman's role in submission, and then we miss the part about love your wife as Christ loved the church. In the same way that they're making the two comparison, that the man as the head, she is to submit to him the same way the church submits to Christ. There's also the comparison that in what Christ did in being sacrificial and sanctifying us and washing us with the word, he presents to himself a spotless bride in the church. So that's what I'm getting out of this work. It was painful, but in my sacrifice, now I get to look back and reflect on the finished product like, God dang, this is an amazing woman I got standing before me. That wouldn't happen if I would have just gave up and said, yo, I'm not going to do this because the culture screwed. I think we as men, we got to stand in there and we got to battle for our society and take it back, because at the end of the day, like it or not, 80% of us are growing up without a father in the home, and we know the impact that's having. So unless you're lucky enough to get one of them 20%, this is part of what's going to come with it. You got a father, and I think that's okay. I think that's significant in the father giving the bride away to you. I think that was the representation that you're filling that role now, and it doesn't end there. In the old times, women couldn't even speak in the church. They had to go home and ask their husband if they had a question. So there's an aspect of teaching and training our wives that men today don't like to hear about for some reason, but that is a part of our leadership role. It's not just being able to tell people what to do, but it's also guiding you to become the best person you're supposed to be for me.
That's an awesome question that Dusto just asked you, and I'm glad that you answered it candidly, because it just goes to show how important it is for a wife to be a reflection of her husband, right? And like you said, you mentioned also the Bible, so that added a new caveat to this whole thing, because I do not subscribe for women to let just any old man lead them or control them. This is, I don't think this is the message that we're trying to put out, that every man is capable of this type of leadership or control, right? And what goes miss is that when you mention the Bible, not only does your wife have somebody controlling her, obviously you have somebody controlling you, which is the word of God. So
Talk about it.
the control is trickled down all the way down to the kids. And that's what we fail to realize. Like when we try to throw these terms out as shaming tactics, right? Men like you are going to be very confident in staying 10 toes down, because you know where your guidance is coming from. You are being controlled by a higher spirit, which is Jesus Christ. So, man, I salute you. But I do want to ask you this: do you think what I said is true, that every woman, do you think every woman should allow every man to control them or lead them?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and you're probably the only person on here that I 100% agree with everything you've said so far. And in that regard, even yeah. But I will say this, and this may be extreme. I think every wife should let her husband control her. I think you make that determination before you say I do. I don't think you get to get in a marriage and decide when you want to submit. I think that's a dangerous precedent to set. Now, I'm not saying this is where everybody goes. Well, what if he's abusive? And we always get extreme. Don't be in an abusive marriage. But you can't stay with the man and say, I'm not going to follow your lead. That's
Right.
not righteous.